Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. About 6 topics for this video. One, we have the Americans working on replacing Zelensky according to the Russian Foreign Intelligence Services. We're going to discuss that. We have 2 articles on that one. Then we have the Kursk situation, or how do you call it, offensive, conducted by the Ukrainian troops, not only in Kursk, but also in Belgorod. I'm going to tell you how many square kilometers the Ukrainians were capable of capturing from the Russian territory. And then we have the White House telling the Russians that, this is what's going to happen to you guys. And you gotta get out of Ukraine, otherwise we will basically conquer you. Then we have another article with Donald Trump, who was interviewed by Elon Musk last night. And it seems to me, but hey, because that's the way I see things sometimes, it seems like Donald Trump will really wife Mrs. Kamala Harris. Why? He likes her a lot. And then the last article that I have here is the controlled war in Ukraine. And the British do not allow the Ukrainians to use Storm Shadow missiles in defending themselves. Why do you think is that? So let's start with the first topic, which is coming from Sputnik: US working to replace Zelensky. Russia's foreign intelligence. Well, if this is true or this is not true, we're going to discuss that. I go by with possibilities and probabilities. Possibility 100%, probabilities I would say 50%. Why? We're going to go to the reason why. What is Zelensky not doing what his masters are telling him to do? I don't think anything. I think he's doing everything he needs to do. So why would you change, replace this guy? We can discuss that. So Moscow, Washington is working on options to replace Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky with a more manageable and less corrupt figure, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Services said on Tuesday. Well, let's analyze this. More manageable. I think he's very manageable, and they can change him tonight. And then less corrupt figure, that's kind of like impossible. And once you have the media covering for you, you are not corrupt. If the media doesn't cover for you, you become corrupt, or you are exposed as a corrupt guy. So I don't think those are valid, realistic reasons. And I'm quoting: in the current situation, Washington is working on options to replace the Ukrainian, because he's Ukrainian, leader with a more manageable and less corrupt figure who would suit most Western allies, end quote, the statement said. Don't buy that. I don't buy, not that they're not trying to replace him. And it is not about trying. They can replace him. That's my assessment. I don't think those are the reasons. Maybe, this guy's a pain in the butt, Zelensky, and, like any tyrant who was placed in a position of power, and he thinks he's more than he is. Therefore, he just becomes more arrogant. Like Zelensky showed that many times. And I will give you an example. For instance, when he smacked the British, what was he? Foreign minister was he, or defense minister? Remember defense minister? Can't remember his name. He got out of politics after that. And then remember when he was making jokes about the defense minister of Great Britain. Zelensky Stein from Ukraine told him that if you want, I can thank you every day for the money that you take from your subjects and give it to me. And then you remember the Ukrainian ambassador to London said, well, President Zelensky did not really do a good job. He got fired. So that's a mini tyrant. And the media covered for Zelensky Stein, not for the European. Who's the European? The British corrupt defense minister that it was at that time. And they brought in, who did they bring in? Oh, Shops, another Zelensky Stein. Why? Because they are better than us. Didn't you know that? Hollywood shows you that all the time. All right, so let's move on. Zelensky is taking insane steps that threaten to escalate the situation far beyond the borders of Ukraine, the SVR said. I don't believe that. He's at the orders of these guys. The United States consider former Ukrainian Interior Minister Arsen Avakov as a suitable candidate to replace Zelensky, the Russian intelligence services says. And I'm quoting, the former Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, Arsen Avakov, is currently being considered as a suitable candidate. The U.S. consider Avakov's strengths to be his close ties with Ukrainian nationalist formations and his continuing contacts with the leaders of European countries, the statement read. I don't think that's the guy, but I tell you exactly who he included it in the register of terrorists and extremists in Russia, Avakov, this guy. So nevertheless, this is what they say. I tell you who could get the position of president of Ukraine. Anyone who is non-Ukrainian or hates really the Ukrainian nation, and he is willing to get them to fight the Russians and be eradicated. Those are the ones. Now you can be a Ukrainian traitor, or you can be a foreigner. Why? No allegiance to the nation that actually you hate because they did something to your ancestors. If you know what I mean, just okay. And if you don't, just pick up some books now here, and not only books. Russia Today, the same thing. U.S. lining up possible Zelensky replacement. Russian intel says Washington has identified Arsen Avakov, this is the guy, as a viable successor because of his ties with both far-right groups and EU leaders, Moscow claims. I don't think this is the guy. I think there's the young guy. He is in Rada. He is a representative, elected official. Young, if you remember, he went to the Munich conference, last Munich conference, and the security Munich conference. And he talked about nuclear weapons, that Ukraine should be given nuclear weapons. I covered that on 2 videos. 2 times he said, well, we should be given nuclear weapons, obviously to use them, not to look at them. So that's the guy that I think is suitable for these guys. Or maybe that guy is not manageable. Nevertheless, he is visiting Munich. He's going all over the place. That means he's allowed entry. So he is allowed entry. And the media covers for him, pushes him forward. Now you can push that as an alternative to scare the baboons, which is always an option. Here, Ukraine claims control of hundreds of square miles of Russian territory as operation forces tens of thousands to flee. So the Ukrainians claim control of hundreds of square miles, and here, as operation forces tens of thousands to flee. So tens of thousands of people leave Kursk and Belgorod. Russian President Vladimir Putin promises to kick the enemy out of his country's territory after it emerged that Ukrainian troops were in control of dozens of Russian villages and large swaths of land a week into Kiev's surprise cross-border incursion. I think that would be kind of dying out right now. The scale of the incursion became clearer on Monday when Putin held a meeting with local officials from the border regions, as well as some of Russia's top security, government and law enforcement personnel. So here it is. The acting head of the Kursk region told Putin that 28 settlements in his region were now under Ukrainian control. And he's still alive? Yeah, because the media here is lying. And over there too, but I don't care what they do with their guys over there. I care what they do with us here. Adding that Ukrainian troops had managed to advance some 7.5 miles, which is 12 kilometers, into the territory across a 25-mile, 40-kilometer wide stretch of the border. So 40 kilometers and 12 kilometers. All right, 25 miles, 7.5 miles. So let's go over this little map, and this is where that occurred. This is Kursk, so this is the area where the hostilities occur and the incursion. So obviously the Russians don't show it on the map, but they show there's advancement. There's advancements right here in Kharkov. Nevertheless, I tell you, it happened here, and they started in Belgorod as well. All right, let's see what else. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian military chief Alexander Syrsky, the Russian, ethnic Russian chief of the Ukrainian nation's military, this is exactly what it is, said on Monday that some 386 square miles, that is 1,000 square kilometers, of Russian territories were now under Ukrainian control. That could be it. That could be it. And then they're done. The Ukrainian advances have sparked a large wave of evacuations from the border regions. Smirnov said 180,000 people had been told to evacuate, that 121,000 have left already. Now, those are a lot of people, just so put in a perspective. Yesterday, the day before, I made a video where they said that the Russians evacuated over 76,000 people from Kursk, and now you saw those figures. So let's go to the next article from the Telegraph, which tells me this article is 100% true. Okay, true in whatever is going to report or shape opinions. Ukrainian troops hold 1,000 square kilometers of Russia, says military chief. So this is exactly what the other guys said. Pam, 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 boom, boom, boom. What? So this is per Siersky, right there. Next one. Ukraine expands area of fighting, but finding advances increasingly blocked. So the Ukrainians advance, but the Russians are able to now, possibly, I would say, eventually take control of this successful operation with the aim of just creating panic. I don't think these guys think that they will go to Moscow with this incursion. It's just to create panic and draw attention, because the Russians are moving troops from Crimea to go over there. So Ukraine, for the first time, provided details of the invasion of Russia's Kursk Oblast, with General Siersky saying that 1,000 square kilometers, we are grateful to the soldiers, ram pam pam, good. And then meanwhile, as Ukraine creeps towards the Kursk nuclear power plant, a fire broke out at the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant in Ukraine. So why would Ukraine go to Kursk nuclear power plant? And then when the Russians will hit their own power plant, like right now we're in charge of Zaporozhye, they will say, see, the Russians blackmail the Europeans, therefore we all need to fight the evil Russians. Very cheap, big lie. Nevertheless, because that's the way they do. Kiev is fulfilling the will of its Western masters. The West is fighting Russia with the hands of Ukrainians, Putin said. I think that's accurate and easy to note. Easy to note. Just look at what's going on. You don't have to listen to me, you don't have to listen to others. Just, go over the map and go over how this war broke out. And you're going to find out some people didn't want to talk with the other guys who said, this is a national security issue, let's talk about it. No, we don't talk about, well, it's a national issue, security issue, we are going to do this and that. Well, and the other guy says, that's exactly what we want you to do. You're kind of late, let's go. So, let's see how the White House, and I'm going to show you the imbecile, offers Putin a way to stop the Kursk invasion. That is, these imbeciles in the White House, and not only, they think that the Kursk offensive or invasion is just scaring the Russians in, Moscow. No, it's an embarrassment, it is, but I'm pretty sure that would be put under control. I have no doubt about it. Why? Russia doesn't use, but I would say between 5 and 6.5% of their capabilities. If you don't believe me, well, if they mobilize 30 million people versus their current mobilization, you understand the percentage. Not only that, they have about 7,500 nuclear warheads. How many did they use? None. So how many submarines they used to hit the centers of control and, in the West? None. So no, that's not all war, it's a controlled war. So let's see what this imbecile Kirby tells Putin and the Russians. Remember, Kirby is an appointed individual, he's not elected. Nevertheless, the White House offered Putin a way to stop the Kursk invasion. Get the hell out of Ukraine. Man, this guy is a real Napoleon. Man, like, who's this? Kirby. I will show you his face, weasel-faced. The White House clapped back at Putin over Ukraine's shock incursion into Russia. I know we are involved in this war. It's exactly what I told you before. Russia is scrambling to respond to Ukraine seizing swaths of its Kursk region. The US and other Ukrainian allies and the organizers have been unsympathetic to Russia's complaints about the attack. Of course, because they have selective values or no values whatsoever. The White House offered a blunt response to President Putin. Did Putin ask anything? On Monday, amid Ukraine's ongoing attack on the Russian region of Kursk, National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby, a weasel, not very smart, why? Listen to him, and very weak with his body language, said on Monday that if Ukraine's incursion into the western region, Russian region of Kursk makes Putin uncomfortable, well, this is your assessment. Putin did not say anything about it, but nevertheless, and I'm going, there's an easy solution. He can just get the hell out of Ukraine and call it a day. USA, USA, yeah. How much is the gas? Oh my God. How much is the bread? Oh, what are the taxes? Oh, how much is to buy a house? Oh my God. Yeah, USA, yeah, man. You see how we are diverse and hate that group, hate that person. This is how this goes. Yeah, man. We can kick ass in this planet, man. Who said that? I'm going to show you his face. This guy. Right there. Because he is like this when he's talking. He's like... That's the guy. That's the communication advisor, the US, who threatens and tells Putin to get the hell out. Yeah, USA, man, USA. God damn it, we kick ass, man. We're the best. And now we're going to go to the another topic, which is Trump. I think he would make love to Kamala, but that's just my kinky assessment of that. So here it is. So the Telegraph, Kamala Harris, and I'm quoting, beautiful, on Time cover, and looks like Melania, says Donald Trump. The former president attacked his political rival on... She is a political rival. She doesn't look like she really is. She's made to look what she is on policy issues, but was complimentary about her appearance in an interview with Elon Musk. There she is, her moment, because she deserves it. If you think that Kamala Harris, as a human being, is smart enough, courageous enough, how do you call that? It's a word I'm looking at. Nevertheless, she is the right leader for you, well, then so be it. But in my books, she should not be a dog catcher in a village somewhere in Montana. Why? If you don't know shit, or if you're really, really living in denial, you can pick her. I'm not saying Trump is far from that, but not because he's an idiot or anything like that. No, I'm not saying that. He should be a businessman over there, right? A businessman. Very successful businessman, that is. But he had to come back to save us. All right, so here is Kamala. Yeah, she doesn't have, how do you call it, diplomatic ways, skills. She's just a barbaric, rudimentary individual, Kamala Harris. Doesn't have any clue about geography, doesn't have any clue about geopolitics, doesn't have any clue about anything about any country. I don't know exactly what she knows. I mean, yeah, probably she knows certain things, obviously, but not, I think, things that should help us by electing her over there. She's going to be maneuvered by the people who maneuvered her all her life. Anyway, and as someone told me in the past, when we had a conversation in a political she said that all the leaders need is charisma. I said, yeah, it can be baboons with charisma, basically. And her reasoning was because they will pick their advisor and the advisors will... I said, well, yeah, but that means that how is she going to be able to pick the right advisors? That means she needs something. She's going to pick friends and donors. That's what she's going to pick, or he. And then I said, and when the advisors that she picked, because she knows so many people by heart, and you know, when they're going to come with a solution to an issue, how can she understand the solution or say, okay, I have some questions, if she doesn't know anything about the subject? She's just going to believe that individual 100% that she doesn't really know, being promoted and offered as an option by some other people from behind. behind Kamala. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So that was that politician's solution as a leader. Not courage, not knowledge, not intelligence, not moderation, not no. That's what are you talking about? That's how she talks. Charisma. That's all she needs. All right, dumbass baboon with charisma. There you have it. Remember, when you go to a doctor for a surgery, do you look for a doctor with charisma or with a doctor who knows what he's doing when he's going to be operating on you? Or let's say, as Plato said, right? When you are on a boat, on a storm, it was Socrates, but through Plato. If you're on a boat on a storm, who do you want to be the guy in charge of the boat? The handsomest, or the guy with the biggest dick, or the guy that has charisma, or a captain who really knows how to steer the freaking boat in a little storm? I guarantee you don't care about the other attributes. You care about the person, knowledge and abilities and experience. Kamala Harris got to her position through those skills. Yeah, okay, so it's more to this article than here, because he's gonna say Donald Trump compared an image of Kamala Harris on the cover of Time magazine with his wife Melania during his interview with Elon Musk. The former president attacked his rival for the White House on a number of issues, but appeared to be complimentary when referring to the publication's illustration of Miss Harris. She's not Miss because she's married, as far as I remember. That makes her a Mrs. But hey, now everybody's a lady and a gentleman without proving they earned it. This is a society. And I'm quoting, she looks very much like our great First Lady Melania, Trump told Musk in an interview on X as the pair discussed the cover image of Monday's issue. And I'm quoting, she didn't look like Kamala, but of course she's a beautiful woman, so we'll leave it at that. Why don't you tell us more about that grabbing thing? No, I think she's beautiful. She was good looking younger, but anyway. Move to the next article. The new voice of Ukraine. Britain denies Ukraine permission to use Storm Shadow missiles in Kursk Oblast. Now, if the reality that is given to us by the media operatives, that this is a surviving moment for Ukraine, it is now or never, is for the Russians want to take over, exterminate, then it's going to be our turn in Europe. That means that you fight with everything you got, unless it's not so. So what do you mean you don't give these guys, you give them everything else? You give them what? F-16, tanks, information, intelligence, people on the ground, and more than that. And you tell me you're not going to give them the Storm Shadow to be shot down by the Russians over the Russian territory? Why? Is it because the Russians told you that they will fuck up directly? Which I don't think the Russians will do, even though they are very itchy finger, like just like that, maybe like that, maybe like that. Okay, so what is this? I mean, if the Brits will do it today, say, yeah, okay, you have the permission to use Storm Shadow missiles in Kursk Oblast. What do you think the Russians will do? Will say we're going to bomb London or something like this? Maybe they will say, but usually when the Russians say something, they do it. They're consistent in good and in not so good. Whereas these guys, can't trust them a bit. I'm not saying they trust the Russians, but my point is, when the Russians says something, they did it. More than this, the free world, where they change their mind all the time. Oh, you say they didn't? Well, remember, we're not going to send any air defense systems. No short range. No, they sent. No long, they sent. No mid or no, they sent. We're not going to send armed vehicles. No, they sent. We're not going to send tanks. Out of questions. They sent. We're not going to send airplanes. They sent. We're not going to send boots on the ground over there. Okay, so everything they said, they did that they say before they will not. So this is a controlled war, my friends, and it's between Russia and some imbeciles in the West, unfortunately, who are working for other interests. They are not working for us. Because remember, when those interests will win, or if they win, let's say they destroy Russia, you're not going to see a benefit. You're going to work harder for some products of those guys. That's what it is. Your life is not going to improve. Why am I so certain? Look at, suppose, emissions, carbon emissions. These guys want to enslave us, economically, financially. If they want to take your property, they can do it. They raise taxes, and you have to sell. And they got it. If they want to disarm you, they don't have to ban guns or bullets. They just make it for you that you can't possibly financially afford them. They make it in such a way that they put so many regulations, and not only, let's say, because of the global warming, and let's say a handgun is gonna cost $1 million. They will have it, you and I won't have it. And a bullet is not 1,000, let's say $10,000 a bullet. So you can't afford it. They don't have to disarm you. Very easy, very easy. That's exactly how the kings in the medieval times took the peasants, the free peasants' land. Impose more taxes. The peasants could not pay for it because they had to work for these guys as well, and then they had to sell and become serfs on whose property? The king's property. Do you think anything's changed? Who was that? Was a guy, I can't remember who said, I think it was in a movie. I just watched it on Facebook, and I said, well, that's very interesting. He said, did you notice the proportion between the guys who are the successful people in the world, the proportion between them and the rest of us, or the losers, the losers, it remains the same. It's just the magnitude. So it's the same, let's say, I'm just giving you an example, 1 to 99. So 1 to 99. Now, even if the population increased, this percentage remains 1 and 99. I don't know. I didn't make a study on that one. But if you look around, is your life better? In general, it's almost the same. You need two people nowadays to work overtime sometimes, and not uneducated or jobs, I don't know, mowing grass like the guy outside. No. Engineers or teachers to afford what? What these guys in the 50s afforded with one parent working. And they had just try to have some kids. I dare you, I super dare you. See how much money you have to pay for the babysitters. And not only, it's not worth it. So they keep you in the same state of almost poverty, and they get you up a little bit of the poverty level, and then makes you, I don't want to go back there. You think you're like, ooh, and they are out there playing with you. Why do you think we still work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day? Why don't we work, I don't know, 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, and make the same amount? Because why? Look at us. Yeah, we can afford more garbage, but we are like this. This is the water, this is us. If you don't work as you work, you can afford what you have. If you want to be, let's say, 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, see how much money how many things, material things you can afford. Zero. You will be almost under the bridge in a little cardboard box. So that tells you we have evolved economically. How come we didn't? And we go to school, we work harder, we do this. How? We can't afford having more kids unless we have kids and other people pay for it through their taxes that were mandated, taken from them, mandatory. That's how these guys have like 5, 6, 7 kids. I met a lot of them. They're all on, they call it government support or kind of programs. Who's paying? You and I, the productive members of society who barely make it ourselves. Why? And we still are taking our taxes given to these guys, and they have kids and we don't. Why? We can't afford. We are responsible. They're not. And then they go to college, and then who's paying for their debt relief, so-called? You and I, from our taxes. From whom? From the president, who just decreased that. So they keep you in a state of barely breathing and hating everybody else in the same condition with you, so you don't see their hanky-panky. So I'm right here, the other guy is right here, let's say Asian guy, this is a black guy, this is a whatever, we all on the same level, and we're like, and actually, should not fight, we should just, those are the guys that keep us here. Anyway, so Storm Shadows, do you think will change anything? How many do you give? 500? They'll change the war. How many F-16s do you give? 50? Do you think that will change the war? It's a controlled war. Some people make profits until we as countries get bankrupt. You'll see that. Some of us are already from 1930s, remember. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, be just.